Hey guys, we are live and welcome to episode 25 of The Weekly. And I was going to say tonight, I'm on a different time schedule right now. We have Mr. Juan Carlos Bagnell from Pocket Now. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm vertical. I've got my coffee. I think we can talk.
All right, cool. Next up is Mr. Warren Bowman from BW1.com. How's it going, man?
All right, thumbs up and let's do this.
Bam!
Jenkins.
All right, I would say we should start with the Surface phone. That's what link 057 says we should talk about, but there's really no news now, dude. So I just wanted to just mention your name, bro. Thanks for chiming out in the chat. All right, do we have a useless list for this week? I don't think there's anything serious. Because
wasn't it the Surface phone? Isn't that the uselessness?
Was there anything about it? Because maybe I saw it last
year. Taking a piss.
No, yeah, true. I don't think there was a uselessness. But let's get into some of the show notes. October 4th is going to be a busy day, lots of Google announcement. But I think October 4th in general has a lot of announcements that day. I have a few embargoed announcements and I can't talk about, but there's going to be a lot. And the biggest thing is from Google. Google is going to be announcing a bunch of stuff at its San Francisco event. They will be showcasing the Pixel phone, all the rumors, leaks, information out there. There's rumors of course, a new router. There's also rumors of, not rumors, we definitely know Google Home is coming because they said it's going to come in the fall. And this is the fall right now. Dusty hoodie. So yeah, thoughts, guys. What do you expect from it, and how do you think Google's going to play it? I'll start off with you, Warren.
I think we're going to see them just kind of run through the rampant of everything that they've kind of put out, but probably have a bit more of emphasis on some of the Internet of Things items, such as the home, the hub, and maybe that speaker. I think they're supposed to be having as well too. I think we're going to hear a lot about those things coming up real soon. But beyond that, I think it's going to be pretty standard outside of just maybe we'll hear about this new Andromeda OS or whatever the hell they're making. It's supposed to be Google and Chrome together. So I think that'll be like maybe the one surprise we might hear from it. But other than that, I think we know what's coming. It's just going to be sort of finalizing what those are and if we're excited for it or not, which it doesn't sound like many people are overly thrilled.
Yeah, I think that rumored price point is what took everyone away. But Juan, what about you? What do you expect? And are you attending the event? Sorry, I didn't even know I started coughing there. I was like, why are you attending?
And actually, I'm fighting a head cold, so I might
clear my throat.
No, it's tough throwing around words like excited. I am very anxious to see what they announce with the Pixel, because I think we're all getting the impression that Google's trying to make this move in which they can reclaim Android and they can start positioning their own products in a more Apple-like way, in a direct-to-consumer kind of way. They still need to work out carrier relationships and all of that mess too. But I think they're learning some of those lessons from the public at large, where it's 2016 and Apple can still sell a phone with a 750p screen, for $650. So why are we busting our nuts over here trying to make everything as high tech as possible? Why don't we just give consumers what they say they want? That's what I'm sort of anxious about, is seeing whether or not the technology is moving towards like little lifestyle tweaks and fashion updates, or if we're still going to be continuing to see companies trying to put out products at the bleeding edge, and what this will mean for Google's relationship with other manufacturers. Out of all of the announcements, the thing I'm personally most looking forward to is simply the 4K Chromecast. That's silly, but for the last couple of years, like, Chromecast has been one of the biggest deals for these announcements for me.
Okay, cool. You mentioned something I'm going to bring up later on, but Sam, how about you? Thanks for joining us. I see you did that little turn on the join and then do the pan with the camera down. You know, next time just a little slower so we can get
Well,
that.
the FBI does say that you should actually keep your cameras blocked because people are now beginning to hijack cameras. Hey, you guys need to really watch Mr. Robot, man. Shit like that really happens.
I know, yeah.
After the fact. So, I'm basically looking more forward to probably the whole implementation of Unhub. That's probably going to be one thing that I'm actually looking forward to understand how Google's going to tie everything together and to see exactly what the difference is between Unhub and Google Home. if it's going to be two separate products or two products working the same, or if it's going to be one name for a different, I don't even know. But Google, I don't even think Google knows what they're talking about too. But it'll be interesting to see how Unhub works, because at the end of the day, we have all these companies out there trying to do the same thing, and to have Google finally throw its hat in the ring might actually make the Amazons of the world actually pay attention. Now, 4K Chromecast, not my biggest thing because I stopped using the Chromecast a while ago. But apart from that, Daydream VR. You know, I think we all know the Pixel's coming out and we're going to see Pixel devices and whatnot. But Daydream VR might actually be a hit if Google does it right. Now, the interesting thing is going to be what devices work with Daydream VR and if Google's going to have cardboard or something more, I'd say something more sophisticated like the Gear VR, you know? So that would be something I'll be looking forward to see Google announce. But apart from the Daydream VR and Unhub, I'm not really paying attention. I'm not going to be really paying much attention to the announcements before.
Okay. I think on the Unhub and to the Google Home part, just because I just did a review of Unhub and they already do an integration with Philips. I think Google Home will be the overarching name, and Unhub will do all the functionalities underneath it. It just depends on how they structure it. This is the question I wanted to bring up with the 4K Chromecast that you mentioned, Juan. And also, I believe the rumor is 4K HDR Chromecast. And we also saw Roku announce its 4K HDR Roku box. Here's my question to that. It's all nice and dandy. They all have 4K HDR Roku boxes, but especially for 4K HDR, if you're going to get a 4K HDR Roku box or a 4K HDR Chromecast, you still need to get a 4K HDR TV anyway. Yeah, you do. To enjoy it, because you need a TV that outputs HDR.
So if you output a 4K signal and that gets downsampled to 1080p, aren't you essentially getting a 422 properly color sampled 1080p image?
I don't think it does. I think it switches. I'm not sure. That's the only part I'm not sure.
So that's what I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I think it just matches whatever your TV is. So if your TV,
well, but that's just it. Is how is it downsampling it? So if you're paying for 4K content and 4K streaming, and then just the final output is getting pushed to a 1080p TV, that still potentially drives a much nicer image than what you would normally get with the 420 color downsampled 1080p display.
I would agree on 4K, but on HDR, it's pointless.
I don't give a fuck about
I'm just saying that. But that's the thing. I would agree on 4K, even to a certain degree.
No. So I mean, like it's the same thing. You know, HDR is having the same issue that the buzz terms like 3D and 4K went through. Is HDR matters when you have HDR content. I want to watch House of Cards, even from my 1080p TV. I want to watch that in a proper 422 where there's less color downsampling, and I get the benefits of that higher quality image even on my 1080p TV. That's why I'm looking forward to that. And then when people are upgrading to 4K TVs, you've got an image that's 4 times the resolution and it's ready to go, because there is 4K content out there. Yeah. As for HDR, I don't know. I don't personally, I don't give a shit about HDR.
See, when I heard those announcements, that was the first time I said the more expensive Xbox One S is a better value than all of that combined, in my mind. Because
but it also depends on what the price point is. I mean, again, like Chromecasts pop at like $30.
Yeah, the 4K Chromecast would probably be about $50 or $60. I agree on price.
Even there,
what's the technology for 4K that it's using though? What 4K technology is? I mean, what HDR technology is it using? That becomes a question.
Almost everyone is going to HDR10. Dolby and Dolby Vision messed up. I mean,
well, Dolby is still being featured in some other high-end devices. Basically, that they're hedging their bets and saying maybe Dolby will come out with something amazing, so you get both the HDR10 and Dolby in there. So you never really know. The war isn't really done. Actually, it's more like the Cold War really isn't done.
I can tell you, guarantee, because HDR. You look at this. There's only one company who supports Dolby Vision, and that is LG. Everyone is using HDR10, and also there is no player, or I mean, only one place for content for Dolby Vision, which is Netflix, and that's one show. So it's all. I mean, it literally is taking that Blu-ray, HD DVD path again, where everyone's like, "Look, this is open source. We don't have to pay licensing fees. We all agree to this. Let's just move on with life and let's call it a day." And Dolby Vision. If you really want to go to the breakdown, Dolby Vision supports 8,000 nits. That is what they call their standard. No TV is even close. The closest is a Samsung at 1,000.
So let me just ask this, because I'm like, we can see a clear benefit with 4K.
Yeah.
Right. Like, even when you're streaming 4K video on a 1080p display, you can see a clear benefit. It's not a radical benefit, but you can see a clear benefit over just 1080p. What is the benefit of HDR as compared to a cinematographer that really knows what he's doing, a color grader, an editor, and a post-production team that really know what they're doing to put together content for non-HDR video?
I think the argument there would be, then again, is whether it's the processing of 4K or 4K HDR, in the sense that I have seen regular 4K content of a bunch of movies and 4K HDR. HDR definitely looks better, and to me kind of looks like what I think the director is trying to go for. I always bring BVS as an example, because I've seen both of them side by side. And with BVS, you can see the color grading on certain things where the movie has a very dark tone. The things that are supposed to come out, like that green kryptonite, those things that are meant to showcase. I guess that's the lowest denominator to pick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, like, doesn't that really just speak to how poorly processed BVS was for being such a dark movie? You know what I mean? Like, that there are all those videos of Man of Steel where, like, hey man, if I just run like a little bit of a filter and a grade over Man of Steel, look at all these colors that pop out.
No, I would disagree. It's not that, like, it's not like Man of Steel, because if you see BVS in regular 4K, it's sharp and vibrant. It's just that with HDR, like, it doesn't pop out, like, how Samsung does those faux reds that really pop out. It just kind of looks like it's red in this world that is a little just dull. But I think to me, the best movie was Mad Max. That really showcased overall. So I think that's something, I think that's something that once you see it, and especially it's better with games than actually even with movies, because with movies you can make those arguments.
With games, that makes sense to me, because when you're talking about that sort of processed in the moment image, and the fact that we're trying to do those eyeball tricks of increasing dynamic range, like with bloom lighting and excuse me, that sort of makes sense. And especially when you're talking about, like, games can be more vibrant than real life, or games can mess with color in ways that real life can't. That sort of makes sense to me. But I guess, like, just because I've never really seen, I was on the IFA show floor and someone was showing me HDR video, and like, okay, it looks like colorful video with a wider dynamic range, but not in any way that I would feel like, what does this actually provide for that final output once I'm sitting at home? What does this mean? Like,
I mean, it is definitely hard on the show floor. At home, honestly, this is the first time that a demo product works better at home than demo, because you can So it's not like you go into a Best Buy store and you walk in, everything just like, okay, it looks all great.
They've basically just all juiced up the brightness and saturation on all of their TVs.
This is one where you sit down at home, you turn the lights off, or you're watching the movie and you go, okay, yes, this thing looks good. I mean, I think for me, one of the things I enjoyed is once you reviewing a 4K TV and just showing content off my camera, which is not HDR. But people actually clearly saying, okay, this looks better than a 4K TV. That's why I said, okay, I get where they're going with. It's more of an in-home experience for the first time. So But anyway, we've talked a lot about this, so let us move on to something else. Microsoft, yes, that company, they had an event last week that nobody really covered out in Atlanta. It was a lot of big announcements from there. And Microsoft has Microsoft talked about AI and how they're going to be incorporating that in Office 365, but also the company is creating an AI division. Again, leaning us to, don't mind that sound, leading us to more software going on in the company. So thoughts, guys, what do you think about Microsoft, this AI push, AI department, and also, again, kind of a little bit of where the company's going? I'll start off with you, Sam, and I'm just going to deal with that noise in a second.
Whoa, that just sounds very ominous.
Is my dryer.
Sounds very ominous. I'm going to go deal with that noise that was vibrating 1 second ago. Guys. All right, so we already said it. When they announced their stuff buyback, we thought they were going to make a big announcement. I don't think this is the main big announcement. I just think this is just one announcement that Microsoft is going to make in the near future. Now, as far as AI comes into play, it behooves them definitely spend money on AI, be focused on the whole AI implementation, make a whole nother division, a whole nother smaller company within a company that handles AI. But the question still is, how do you get the AI over to the consumers, right? And I think that ties into that our other story, like Microsoft is announcing AI for Office products, right? So that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to, instead of going the hardware route and putting AI into hardware devices or their own hardware, they're going to put it into their software devices that we already use on our desktops. The only problem with that is I don't know if AI is really a good mix with Word documents or Excel documents or PowerPoint documents. I really don't get how AI makes that significantly better. AI is better when you put it into a life assistant kind of role, like Echo is doing, like Google is probably going to do with Google Now or whatever AI they decide to release, like IBM Watson is probably going to do. Then it's going to be a way to improve your overall lifestyle. Just throwing it into Office doesn't really do much for me. I don't think it's the right approach to AI that Microsoft has. I think it's just a reaction to the moves that the industry is making right now.
So Juan, this question, the same question, but I'm gonna just add a little more. Don't you think that this is Microsoft saying we need AI, let's throw it into our best product and let's see how it goes?
No, I was going to agree with Sam, because I think that's exactly the position that Microsoft finds themselves in, is that they don't have a consumer-facing platform to deliver AI. I mean, Sam's assessment is right on point, because they only have the successful things that they know people are going to use are going to be services like Office. They don't have a phone platform that's really blowing up for them to be positioning AI in any significant way. Skype has been withering on the Microsoft Vine for a while, so it doesn't make sense for them to make a lot of noise about, well, we're going to add more bots to Skype, and a bunch of people are going to talk to each other on Facebook Messenger and laugh about how they're not using Skype. A lot of these situations kind of break down into we've got some really smart stuff. And if anyone has used, was using Cortana back in the Windows Phone days, like Cortana is legit. I mean, also on Windows 10 too. I use it far less on my desktop than I ever did on my phone. So they're stuck in that position where we've got to position this product, we've got to start implementing it, and to start getting any kind of data out of it so that we can improve it, we've got to go to where our customers are, and that means Office.
Okay. Yeah, true. Warren, now to add to that on top, do you think, this is the other question I had in mind, just because as Juan was talking, wouldn't it be better to throw this into Xbox and really take that experience to the next level and make gaming more personal rather than sticking in Office? And of course, you can answer the rest questions as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that because they don't want to take any more risks with the Xbox. Everybody got pissy because they're actually trying to add value to the Xbox, and it can't just be something that just plays games. So they try to add this on here, everyone will just get all pissy and end an uproar again about it. So I don't see them ever throwing this into there unless they can sneak it in there on the low and it comes in some like random update. If they announce they're gonna announce AI for Xbox, you're gonna have a whole bunch of gamers crying about it because they don't like change apparently. But them stuffing it into so they have to stuff it into the next best thing that they sell, which is Office, which I agree with Sam. It's just I don't know what this benefits. This is just them. We need to be in AI. We're gonna throw it in here, and we're just gonna see what happens. So I don't really know for them. I mean, they could have tried maybe something different or something new with it, but they're just trying with an Office, which isn't going to get a lot of people to use it necessarily. Xbox will probably be the best to use this for because this could get people. It's more consumer facing and it's more something that you could see a lot of people using AI elements for within the gaming console. But they're not taking risks with that anymore now because of
but Warren, even with the Xbox stuff, what did they do to Xbox to literally gimp the implementation of AI? They took out Kinect.
So they took out Kinect because everybody complained. I don't want my kid to do this. I want to spend $500 on a console, and all I wanted to do is to play a game. I don't want it to do anything else. Yeah. The reason why the gaming industry sucks.
That and a 400-pound nerd is
in a much larger context. When did geeks become so conservative?
That's true.
Because some of these people aren't real geeks. Some of these folks aren't real geeks.
I mean, like, I'm sitting here reading my Isaac Asimov novels, going like, I want that, or Arthur C. Clarke, I want that, and you're like, we're trying to position some of this stuff for consumers, and it's the people on some of these tech channels that are crying the loudest about, I want something that's exactly the same as what I'm already using, but I want it in a new shell. And
to elaborate on what
all
Warren
of the
said,
hipster movement. That's
exactly.
We have too many of that are quote unquote nerds because they wear little glasses that are probably aren't prescribed for them, and they're the part of the reason why glasses are so damn expensive.
Are they 400 pounds? Are they 400 pounds?
Somebody's trying to sneak the debate in here. Come on.
The 400-pound hacker would want AI, so he doesn't have to get his fat ass up.
But to elaborate on your point, Warren, it's I don't think it's that they're fake geeks or they're not geeks. I think what it is the whole nerd/geek culture has been so normalized now that anyone who played an Atari growing up or a Nintendo NES system growing up, anyone who had one of those growing up now considers themselves a geek. It's like gaming culture and geek culture kind of merge and produce this amalgam of consumerization that really isn't geek culture. If you ask me what the true geek culture is simply this. How many TVs did you break as a kid trying to figure out exactly how it works? How many consoles did you break as a kid trying to figure out how it works? How many toys did you try to look inside?
How many consoles did you have as a kid? That's exactly. Another question.
It's not even how many consoles you had. It's the amount of creativity and the need to know. The need to know, the need to experience, the need to innovate. That's what geek culture is. Now it's the need to quantify consumerization, which is totally ass backwards. Geeks create, nerds create. Yes. Like people who are on there on YouTube right now talking about unboxing and stuff, they just consume.
They don't know.
To me, that's a big difference.
Here's a great question. Here's how you test if somebody's a real geek or not. Ask them to build a computer and see what happens. Ask them. Can you build a computer from scratch? There's so many of them that can't do that. Have any damn clue. And the second
fire shots of Kevin the Tech Ninja now. Come on, bro.
Technically, you fired the shots. You see, I didn't mention him. You technically been firing the shots for about the last month or so. No, I just like the second I hear that, so quote unquote, even in our own industry, the tech guys that are within here. As soon as I hear that they can't build their own PC, I automatically put their tech knowledge down a certain level, and I cannot take them to a certain level of serious. To me, in the end of the day, are like you're just reading specs off of a card.
But you see, that's
don't know what the specs actually do.
You're talking about computer geeks, which, yeah, if someone's saying they're a computer geek, whatever, yeah, I would expect them to at least know how to get around a PC or build a PC or at least maintain their own PC. But there's so many different kinds of geeks out there that, geek culture like I said, it's been normalized. It's no longer as unique as it used to be. Like me growing up, even in boarding school in Nigeria, the fun thing, there was a bunch of kids who liked computer games. The same set of kids who liked to read those pick your own adventure books. The same set of kids who would sit down and, in basically detention or what they call it again, in homeroom, like you guys will have here, and plan ways to go to freaking Mars by rocket propelled whatever. Those were the geeks. We had geeks who loved to read. We had like book geeks. We had geeks who literally liked technical drawing because that was their stuff. They liked to draw things that didn't exist. But now we just have a very normalized version of what a geek is. You wear these this sort of glasses. You wear these tight pants. You wear this plaid shirt. And hey, look at that.
And you make sure you stand like a douchebag. Gotta make sure you have that douchebag pose going.
All right.
And don't you looking at the camera quiet. And
sorry.
Just off with a little bit of maybe a skinny tie or maybe a little bit of tie.
I mean, we're talking geeks, not like 80s douchebags. No, it's skinny ties. No. I just kind of like wrap up part of this because I'm sort of vaguely responsible for this debate. I'm not even vaguely responsible. I'm trying to pass the buck here. No, it really seems to me that like when I was coming up and I was learning how to solder and I was taking apart my walkie-talkies to make little audio robots and I was messing with things, I was a geek. Nowadays, you start taking things apart and repurposing them, or you start digging into the guts of your PC, and like people want to go around talking like you're a hacker. Yeah. Right, like that has we've now sort of moved the bar on what phrases we use to sort of define these things. On the one hand, I think it's a victory because I was made fun of when I had my little TI Pocket calculator organizer and I had my first Palm Pilot and my first Windows Mobile PDA, and people like, oh, why did you even need it? You can't unplug or email. Who even uses? Blah, it's a fad. And now everybody lives their lives out of mobile devices. The geeks won, but in winning, I think we kind of gave up a little bit of the fun stuff of what we care about. And now the people at large who consider themselves geeks, but really are super conservative, unfortunately get more of the megaphone for driving discussion on how we're going to talk about this stuff.
I think that's a very good point. To win the war, we sold our soul. That's pretty much what happened.
We still run a whole lot. You got to remember, most of the geeks that are billionaires now come from our generation. And you have the Mark Zuckerbergs that were clearly just going on the internet soon. So
no, but just one more aspect to that whole Microsoft AI thing. I think, I just think is sad, is because I remember using Kinect. And I remember, like, I really thought Kinect was going to be that thing where, and I remember when I was dating someone then, she came over and she's like, I want to watch. I'm like, just talk to it, tell it what you want to watch, and that's it. I was like, go to Netflix and you can watch Netflix, and that was just the beginning. And, and to everyone's point, it's sad to see that is, has gone away. And Microsoft is now trying to force something where they could have even at least left the Xbox One S with Kinect benign a little bit and then done a refresh with Cortana to say, okay, here's another push. You guys had have Kinect, you can still use your Xbox One S, blah, blah, blah. But now this is what you can do with Cortana, all the way through your gaming, your audio chat. If you're on a headset, Cortana tells you somebody wants to talk to you, not just somebody jumping into your chat like that. Gives you that ping or tells you like, hey, Sam's waiting. I'm like, Sam can wait. Come on.
I see. That's how you screen my calls. I knew that.
Shit. Okay, going on to the next topic.
Real quick though, because we had a couple comments going back and forth. There was a really fun conversation going on in the live chat.
Yeah.
But don't we kind of feel like AI will be successful when it starts to diminish the number of apps that we actively have to engage with? Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of the things you're talking about are like, oh, well, instead of I'm playing a game and now I need to leave the game to go to my messaging app because someone popped up and I got a notification for a message, is that we've got a smarter way to handle those lifestyle pieces of information that seem to interrupt what we're doing. And that to me will be one of the victories of AI. Like I keep joking about it, like why I want an IBM Watson phone isn't so that I can talk to IBM Watson and then pick up my phone and touch my Yelp app, and then pick up my phone and touch my Skype app, and then pick up my phone. And like, I want to just tell Watson to do something and have Watson go and do it. You know, so if I pick up my Watson phone and say, hey, Watson, what's a cool pizza place within 5 miles of me? Watson can go to Yelp. I don't want to go to Yelp anymore. Yeah. This is such a first world problem. But you know, like, I want something that's going to start taking over some of those so that I don't have. I think this metaphor that we use of pages of squares on our phones, that we touch the square to get one thing, is so horrifically antiquated. And why I brought up this whole talking about geeks, you know, like, people are going to be resistant to, but I like my apps. I want my apps.
Yeah. No, like, true. I mean, I think Google Allo has started some of that. Just
exactly.
You know, and I hope that continues.
You have WeChat over in Korea that's done a lot of these type of things, and China as well too, with WeChat, which basically you can do everything within there. The currencies ran through there and everything. You can get a dog walker. You can get at a restaurant. You could pay for your food through that application. Everything's all integrated into that thing. Now imagine if they take all of that and then design a ambiguous AI around it. It's going to be crazy what they can do with that, and they'll have all the data right there.
All right, moving on to some craziness. Actually, not really crazy. DJI announced the Mavic. I said Maverick in the comment, sorry. Mavic Pro drone. What's really cool about this is, first of all, GoPro announced its drone, I believe last week or earlier in the week, which you could attach a GoPro camera. It looked okay. The DJI drone is literally this big, my palm, and it folds out. You can fly it out, and it's got the same battery life, same travel time, not battery life, but same travel time as the full-size drones, which is about 27 minutes or so. So I was just wondering, you guys take a look at it. What do you think? How do you think this affects just, using drones now that's smaller, more portable, less of a bulky experience as you had before? Let's see, Warren.
Why me?
I had to pick someone.
Yeah, okay. I have to look at it again. I looked at it really briefly, so come back to me on that.
Okay, let's go to Sam.
Looked at it briefly. I didn't really get the
so the trend, if we looked at, let's say, even as recently as last year, the trend on these drones was that the drones were getting bigger. If you went to CES, you were seeing drones that were basically professional devices for movie making, right? We had these big devices from DJI that could carry a DSLR and whatnot, and it's really interesting to see how much has changed within a year's time. Actually, less than a year, right? Because that was just January, right?
January, yeah.
Yeah. So now we're seeing more portable drones. What really gets me about this device is the fact that you can get it without the controller, which is really amazing, and you get it at $799, right? Now, the next closest device to it is over $1,000, right? Even with a controller, it stays below $1,000. So the prices for these high-end 4K capable devices or drones are beginning to fall. So it just makes me feel as though maybe we would see a really high-end, maybe $500-600 device, maybe in like another year or so. And I think the more people who can actually, get your hands on things like this, the better we're going to see that whole ecosystem for drone footage, get. Because at the end of the day, I'm just thinking about it. If I had a family reunion and we had like 50, 60 odd people, I can just take a drone like that, throw it up in the air, get it going, and, take pictures of everyone and just do like a huge, aerial view of the whole family or whatever. So there are regular consumer uses to it, but, this device on its own, the Mavic on its own, is pretty impressive. The fact that you really don't lose any of the features from the next step up. I forgot what's the next step up. It's the DJI
something 4. It's number 4. Yeah. DJI, yeah.
Is it the Phantom? No, it's not the Phantom.
Yeah, it's Phantom 4.
Yeah, yeah, and it doesn't lose that many features from the next step up. So it's just really impressive. Within a year, we're seeing devices get smaller, cheaper, and from my viewpoint, more customer friendly.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was going to say Warren again, but I will skip over to Juan. Now, the one other caveat I want to add to this is, if you remember earlier in this year at CES, is it Parrot announced their own drone that was like the Flyer, and we still haven't heard much about that.
No.
How do you think this affects that? Because I
think it affects it significantly. I mean, like to Sam's point, and especially like his scenario, like you can just throw it up in the air for a family reunion. That I think is actually one of the most important aspects of Mavic. Is I think a lot of people's first experiences with drones were, I mean, just any type of aerial, were either some sort of remote control, like little Hornety, like robot-y thing, or you start looking at the infrastructure required for some of those professional devices, and that's a very intimidating process. If you've ever tried to fly one of those little tiny toy quadcopters, excuse me, like they're really tricky to get a feel for. Like you've got to log a lot of flight time. So when you start seeing some of these initial hands-ons with the Mavic, where it's like, oh, on the screen you touch to go there, like that's something that people totally understand. Like that makes perfect sense, like how I would operate this thing. So even though like all of those things have been steadily improving, I think from someone's first experience with a quadcopter to something like the Mavic is going to feel revolutionary. Like they missed a lot of those steps in between that I think Parrot's solution sort of ignored, like that Parrot's aerial, like I just don't see where people were going to pick that up and feel comfortable with a very minimal amount of flight time, taking it to something where, like they can take photos or videos of their kids or their family or go out to a park or something like that. So that's to me what's actually been most exciting, is seeing something sub $1,000 that you can legitimately use to capture some really nice looking footage. But a major aspect of this has been that consumer facing experience, the way it folds up so that you can put it into a smaller container and take it with you places, the way that they've been able to maximize battery life, the way that they've worked on implementing not only traditional joystick controls, but then also the way that the controller clamps onto your smartphone to give you that field of view. And I think it's going to be the perfect platform. I was out at Lake Balboa, and someone was flying these little racer quadcopters, and he had this trick heads-up display. So like he's doing all the racing, is like he's got a first person point of view from that little racer, and you're like, this is the Mavic looks like the perfect platform to start pushing things like heads-up prism displays again, in a way that Google Glass failed. This is totally enthusiast, it's totally niche, and yet you can bundle that with a drone and people will understand why I want a screen up at eye level when I'm flying my $700 mobile camera rig. So that to me is what's exciting about Mavic, is because I think it starts opening more doors for people to be playing with this stuff, and then for the peripheral accessories that come with operating this stuff more efficiently.
Warren.
To basically Juan and Sam have found it up pretty well. I think it's a pretty cool device, especially when you get that compact and small now. It becomes something much more easier to bring around with you and have with you, maybe just sitting in the car somewhere. And then when the moment's right, you want to use something, if you want to get footage of a great view or a nice sunset or at a family gathering or any type of event, having this drone available right there to take that great shot be pretty cool.
Yeah, I know it definitely is, especially just the size. And when they made the announcement, it looked like he pulled it out from his back pocket. He probably had slightly larger jeans back pockets there, but he still pulled it out and showcased.
He's rocking those pipe leg Jinkos. You put textbooks down those back pockets. Yeah,
but if you had the cargo pants, you probably would be able to fit.
I know, definitely with cargo pants, but it's really this small. I mean, it's something you can hold in one hand because it folds in and then expands out. So I definitely agree with you guys. I think it's just one of those things that really will help expand the market. Moving to a company that is trying to expand, Huawei Mate 9 event is October 13th. Rumored pricing and also just device samples are out there. Just quickly, what do you guys think of what I mean, Huawei's had a pretty good year, I would say, be it starting from even from last year with the the 6P, and then you had the Mate 8, and then you had, you know, stuff with Honor 2, which is the company they own, the online brand, not even company, so just brand. But how do you just perceive all that with the Mate 9? I'll start off with you, Juan.
I'm very curious to see how Mate 9 performs. I've been a huge fan of some of the moves that they've made this year, especially with the P9 and the Honor 8.
Yeah,
I'm still rocking the Honor 8 as my fallback phone in between review devices, and for a $400 little gadget there. So what I'm really curious to see is what improvements they might have made to the Kirin.
Mm-hmm.
The Kirin 950 and 955 have proven to be great little CPU driven chipsets, where in a number of situations they'll happily outperform Qualcomm 820s for CPU dependent tasks.
Yeah,
where they've fallen behind, unfortunately, is in GPU dependent tasks. So they're not the best gaming platforms, and that's also why one of the reasons why I think we see some issues with Kirin in 4K video. So it seems like the Kirin 960 is taking significant steps to address that, because they're being very vocal. I mean, they're not, Huawei isn't. We're talking about the leaks and stuff. are very, very vocal about positioning that dual camera system with some type of 4K video solution. And if Huawei can figure out a good software electronic image stabilization crop for UHD video while utilizing dual camera sensors, I think we could have a really compelling content creation phone on our hands.
Warren, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the Mate 9. They've had a pretty good year, and to see them continue to sort of be to build this brand of Huawei, to hopefully maybe get to the levels in the US of the Samsungs and LGs and Apples of the world would be pretty interesting. But I'm looking forward to what they're kind of going to be announcing looking forward to what they're going to be announcing with the Mate 8.
And what about you, Sam?
I really haven't used any of the Huawei products, but just looking at this device, it looks really, really nice. I'm actually more interested in the 6 gigs of RAM. That to me sounds like it could really, get some interesting little, processing.
Maybe it's all preparation for Daydream.
I'm telling you, man, because and that might not be too far fetched, because it comes right out of the box with Android 7, right?
Yeah.
So it could be in preparation for Daydream. So you can expect it to be able to, it has some pretty interesting processing power under the hood. I'm not too sure how the Kirin 960 chipset compares to offerings from Snapdragon, so I'm a little iffy on that, but it looks like a compelling device. But the price point is still up there. The price point is still around $700 for the 6 gigs, and I think about $550 for the 4 gigs of RAM. So
we're also still talking about 128 to
128
to 256.
Yeah,
storage.
So I think storage is moving that price point.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Wary. So I mean, we'll see, but I'm definitely excited, because I think as a brand, Huawei has matured, I mean, from where they were beginning of last year to now. It's almost 2 different companies, especially I think that Honor 8 was that point where I said, yeah, these guys really have found a way on a budget brand to put something that's a nice package for consumers there. So it would definitely be interesting to see. This next topic is for Note 7 users. It looks like you guys are hardcore Samsung fans. So this is good news for Samsung, even though there were rumors of exploding washing machines and overheating replacement Note 7s. And let's not forget, an iPhone 7 exploded. Just saying.
Exploding washing machines? How the heck? Okay, I'm just gonna.
I mean, if you want to have that, who's having a terrible year? Samsung. I mean, that's pretty much what you do. And
they started off so strong at the beginning of the year, and then it all just kind of fell apart.
But the article we were talking about here is about how 90% of the Note 7 users want a replacement rather refund bodes well for the Note 8 and future Samsung devices, in that sense that Samsung customers understand their product, but and they're willing to wait for a replacement. Maybe not, other people may not, but at least the core audience isn't running away, which is good. Just any other thoughts on that before we move on?
Just proves that the way they handled the recall looks like was good enough for consumers, that they still kept their trust within Samsung to continue to use their products going forward, instead of just getting a refund and running to someplace else. And there wasn't a lot of companies that were in position to take advantage of that at that time. That just should have had some type of offering out there to compete against Samsung when they had this issue, to maybe stir some customers over. Maybe not many, but maybe a few, but nobody really positioned themselves to take the shot.
Yeah, I've been sort of surprised that other companies like LG, I think, has missed this opportunity to step up and join the conversation. HTC has been virtually absent from the conversation, and it's not to say that they should be throwing shade, but that, you know, this was an opportunity to reach out to consumers. And I think, you know, now that window is passed. One of the things that I think is very interesting is the fact that for the iPhone 7 launch, this year represents one of the leanest years for people leaving Android to go to iPhone. So even some of the doom and gloom reports or analysis that Samsung's issues would put a huge crimp on Android, because so many consumers just sort of conflate Galaxy with Android, even that's not proving to be true.
Well, because I never really bought in the whole fact that people thought Samsung and Android were the same damn
well,
thing.
yeah, but I'm talking
kind of
about
understood.
Right, but I'm talking about analysts here.
I mean, see our conversation 20 minutes ago about how smart, what kind of nerd those analysts are.
But even those reports, like, oh, and because, you know, you have to have the headline, will Samsung's issues with batteries affect the Android ecosystem, ? And then the article could just be literally NO dot, you know, like you wanted the clickbaity headline. So even that hasn't proven to be true. But you know, now I think we're all sort of trying to get back on our feet. I think people out there with replacement Note 7s are starting to evangelize their purchases, because they have to defend them. Every time they get on a plane or they're out in public and people are like, oh, is that one of those exploding phones? You know, like, it's up to that individual now to go like, no, it's fine. I got mine replaced. Everything's fine. It works great. Here, look, it can scan my eyeballs. And now we can all kind of get on with it. And hopefully Samsung can get their shit in gear so that we can launch with a Galaxy S8 that will hopefully erase this year from our collective memories.
True. Anything to add, Sam, before we move
on? I think more of it is the device. I think the device is compelling enough to where people who got their hands on it realize that this is a device they've been waiting for. It is well designed. The functionality is amazing. When you talk about battery life between the Note 5 and the Note 7, it's like night and day. So
what happened to the battery life of the Note 6?
Oh, I don't know.
It exploded. Sorry.
I don't know. What happened to the Note 6? Didn't exist.
You people supposed to laugh at that joke.
Anyway. So if you use the device, then there's really hardly any other device out there that would give you the same experience from any other manufacturer out there. So I think definitely no one stepped up to fill that gap. But most of the work was done with the thought and just ingenuity that Samsung put into the Note 7.
Okay, cool. There's a story we missed on our headline. Sorry, I apologize. Blackberry leaving the hardware business. Well, I mean, they say they're concentrating on software, even though it's using Android, which means they're only doing some software work. So, are we surprised?
There was this company out there that made a huge investment on software. I think they came out with something called Palm OS, and then
no, it was Q&A.
And then what happened to them afterwards?
Don't make me sad.
I'm not.
I'm because you know they're saying like they're ending in-house hardware development, but they're not ending BlackBerry phones.
Yes, so
they're just going to be reaching out to other manufacturers to build them. And right now, their current solution is Alcatel, And that's not bad. I actually really like what Alcatel can bring to the table in terms of making sort of an interesting device, you know, stereo speakers. And I really like what the hardware layout for the Idol 4S resembles. I wish they hadn't used the Qualcomm 650, but that's another conversation. And so for a lot of these sort of benches that we've seen out there with a potential Idol 4 Pro out, I think that's largely going to be what the hardware is for the DTEK 60. So that's not, I don't think that's a bad move. I think that's a smart move. The CEO has been very vocal about saying they're going to bring back a QWERTY phone at some point. But I think this is an opportunity for BlackBerry to start shopping to some of these other manufacturers who used to exist as better ODMs. I think a BlackBerry built by HTC or a BlackBerry built by LG could be a really compelling solution for BlackBerry's hardware woes. And then for people who are looking for some of that classic BlackBerry organizational experience for how the hub puts everything together for you, I think that could be an interesting way to sort of continue trying to build a presence in the Android ecosystem with a unique device.
Warren, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprised that they're doing this route. They need to really focus on maybe making their better software enterprise solutions work. This is sort of cutting off something that's been dying for them on the consumer side a little bit, but still keeping them in that space somewhat, and keeps another name around. We'll just have to see where it goes. As you know, as Juan said, you can basically see what other manufacturers will have a hand in designing a BlackBerry style phone, and then taking advantage of the software add-ons that BlackBerry does will add to Android. So it might prove to actually work well for them better in terms of financials. But as far as like them coming back, or that name coming back to the prominence that it was once before, probably not.
Sam, anything?
No, I think Juan was mostly right in what he said. Basically, it is an opportunity for BlackBerry to focus on what really made them, leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else, which was really just software offerings, especially to enterprise customers. If they can reignite that, that would be great. Although they are facing a huge uphill battle, because now these companies have decided to go elsewhere. They've decided to go to Good App. They decided to use iOS solutions. Samsung is throwing Knox out there. There's so many other solutions out there that people can utilize, that now BlackBerry finds itself in, losing ground. And I don't know if, switching this over or taking the hardware out of the equation and putting it in someone else's purview really helps them in any way. But we'll see. We'll see what they can do when they have a clear focus on, on just software.
I mean, just personally and selfishly, I would love to see an HTC designed sideways slider QWERTY keyboard Android device powered with BlackBerry software. It just sounds like such an unholy conglomeration of different hardware and software aesthetics that I kind of want a device like that too.
Status again.
Yeah,
status again.
I want that to exist. I want that so bad.
Yeah. Well, speaking of something that now exists, it's Twitch. Wow, I just blew that one up completely. Twitch Prime is now available because Amazon owns Twitch. And if you're an Amazon Prime user, you have access to Twitch Prime. To me, this is a play on just expanding Amazon Prime more than anything else, because I looked at some of the benefits and any thoughts?
Well, you don't get ads. No ads.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, it benefits more as, I get it. And it's a nice inclusion to Amazon Prime, which, to me, I feel we're going to get a bump in price from Amazon Prime very soon again, because there's a lot of things that are added under Prime now. Music, we have movies, we have cloud storage, and now we have game streaming. So it's going to be a lot of things packed in there. But anyway, what do you guys think about Twitch Prime?
Not much. I really don't have much to say about it. I personally only view Twitch on a very sporadic basis. I'm not a huge viewer of Twitch, but the fact that I now get this as part of my Amazon Prime subscription, maybe I'll check it out. But to me, it's not the biggest news in the world.
Okay, Warren.
Yeah, kind of with Sam. It's. I think it's more just to get Twitch back into the conversation with Amazon, but I don't really like. I use Twitch very sparingly as well too, and I guess it's just a nice add-on for those that are on Prime. Now you got some extra features if you go and check out Twitch.
Okay, Juan. It looks like everybody's keeping that one concise.
I mean, the thing is, like, I'm just not super into Twitch. So as an Amazon Prime customer, like, it's not really a huge benefit for me. But I think there's enough of a crossover or carryover that Twitch consumers might be interested in that partnership. I don't know. I mean, Amazon's still in that tricky position where I don't know that they've announced any significant profits over the last couple quarters. So I think they're trying to now start leveraging some of their acquisitions to see what they can do to generate more interest in those properties and products. And if that works for Twitch, then that's really cool. But that's not an audience that I have any relationship with.
Yeah, it seems that way for all of us, but I swear we all play video games. Trust me, we do. Just saying. Yeah, I think that is pretty much it, unless there's anything that we missed news-wise. Anything, guys? Quickly, before we round up? Nothing? Maybe? Okay.
Yes.
All right, good. Wow, I was delaying just in case anybody was like, yeah, I have one more thing, but
No, I don't have anything.
yeah. All right. We'll move on to the segment of the show at the end when we talk about what we currently have on the channel and what we can expect next week. And we're going to start off with the man who always tells us stuff, Mr. Warren Bowman.
Stuff?
Oh, the suspense was killing me.
I just was looking at your face as you were just like, oh. I don't have anything new on the channel this week, but next week I'll have some more videos coming up. I have a lot I need to record, and I can't really think what's coming out next week until I usually plan that after this is already done. So I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys know probably when it's up.
All right, cool. Juan, how about you?
Well, we wrapped up a whole bunch of iPhone coverage, did an iPhone 7 versus iPhone 6s comparison video, just whether or not, you should upgrade if you have last year's iPhone. And I think a lot of people in this audience will probably already be able to guess what the conclusion of that video was. And then moving into next week, I'm going to be circling back to do a quick shootout with the Hasselblad Moto Mod for the Moto Z. So our resident pro photographer, Adam Lane, did this huge write-up on pocketnow.com, really digging into the tech guts of and the photographic output of the Hasselblad Moto Mod. And now we just want to do a little video companion piece to that. So that should be out next week.
Cool. Sam?
Let's see. What was it? Yes, the Gear Fit 2. I think that's what we have coming up. I think we should have
say everything I promised last week will happen next. Whatever you did,
because that's actually coming today.
So the Gear Fit 2 should be up on YouTube probably by the end of the day. So you guys should check that out, and I'll probably try to get that since I'm on a recording spree, as it were. I would get the server done today as well, so you guys can have a look at what we do for our home servers here.
Praise the Lord. On my end, I had a bunch of stuff last week. iPhone 7 battery case, which Alex did, provides you 4,000 milliamps of battery, but you still can't listen to music at all. You have to take everything out of the case. That's just how it is right now. There's no other solution.
Well, you can Bluetooth.
Yeah. Sorry, if you wanted to plug in your headphones, I apologize. Unhub. We also did the Raspberry microphone from Blue. A gaming laptop, which a lot of people were bitching about because it is 2,500 and it runs a GTX 980M with 8 gigs of RAM, and people are complaining it's not a 1060. You do know a 980 does very well, actually better than the 1060. So just saying.
Comparable.
Yeah. Better. It's like a 1070s closer. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there for all those people who are complaining. And a lot of stuff on board. A lot of trailer reactions for some of the the shows coming back, as well as our review of Luke Cage. Definitely check it out. I did 13 hours binge, so please watch it because I'm tired. And I really appreciate that you watch it. Just saying. I will leave the link down for you guys below. So please watch it. Just telling you again. And next week, there's more Luke Cage, so please watch it. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, guys, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Check out all the channels. Check out Mr. Warren Bowman at BW1.com. That is his Twitter handle right there on screen. And also the channel is BW1.com on YouTube. Subscribe and check out his content, as well as Mr. Juan Bagnell from Pocket Now. Yes, you can check out the videos on Pocket Now. Again, it's spelled Pocket and Now together as one word. And you can follow him on Twitter. It is Some Gadget Guy. And Sam doesn't have his lower third, you know?
If Google let me have it, I would have it. But apparently Google does not want me to have
well, you know what? 3 out of 4 ain't bad. That's what Google's probably saying.
Google don't want you to have that lower third.
So his Twitter handle is Black Iron_man. You can follow him on Twitter, and also his videos will be on Booredatwork, and you can follow us on Booredatwork. It's just Booredatwork on YouTube and Booredatwork on Twitter. And at this point, we say thank you very much and always enjoy your entertainment.
Bam.